Time to get my arms a little bit more with flexibility right there. For able to actually get even much more stretchier arms. But in forms of, well, basically for the sake of like punching action for a boxing match or something. But granted though, it won't contain any of the boxing event matches in this particular location, and I'm sitting down just playing around with my fingers, and especially noticeable with my fingernails and all that stuff, but even claws especially. And I'm just sitting there just bored and whatever you say. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Duffy Duck here, and first off, we got ourselves a moon medal right there. And, or in this case, a sun medal even, sorry. And, yeah, this is me, Duffy Duck here, and I'm back for some more of the Muxy Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. So last time we actually did rescue Professor Pickle while actually tackling through Missouri Night Act 1. And in addition to that though, we even got even more medals to our disposal, so as you can tell, my sun medals count is now up to reach into level 2. So today for this episode is the fact that we're going to be moving on into, I'm assuming we're actually going to be going back into Missouri once again. But this time around though, we're going to be using Sonic the Hedgehog in the forms of the daytime. So even then though, since we've pretty much done with the nighttime level by the forms of Missouri Night, and we've pretty much gone through every single sun medals in the forms of Spagonia Night Hub. So now we're done with that. Apologize of how the fact that I was about to get started with the forms of this episode in particular. Let's just go ahead and head out, and after when you're able to rescue Professor Pickle, by the way, as soon as we're able to actually go bypass these little globe stuff by the forms of going into the direct center of it, and that way we're finally going to be introducing to ourselves the world map. So about freaking time. I made you this world map. I thought it might come in handy. You can use the world map to travel places you want to visit. When you decide to when to go somewhere else, use this screen. So basically, yeah, let me give you a quick tutorial to see how it works. So basically, first off, we need to pick a destination to Apatos really quickly, so it tells you how the actual world map itself works in this version. Now, it feels kind of like how it does it in the forms of the Wii/PlayStation 2 version, is that normally you can actually maneuver around with the planet Earth by the forms of the analog stick, or in this case a control stick if you will, and in order to actually select which destination you want to get into, you simply press the A button, and that's all you're really trying to do here. But there's actually different things this time around though, is the fact that you can actually hold down the X button or the square button. If you ever played this on the PlayStation 3 version, you can actually just manage to let the time and night cycles. So even though that's a really nifty feature, which even though, unlike how it does it on the Wii/PlayStation 2, doesn't have that feature on the Earth, or in this case the planet Earth, but it does have that in the forms of the hub menu. So perfect, awesome work, Sonic. Okay, next up, Missouri. So even though we can actually see what's going on here, but I'm guessing we have to bump into not only the townspeople, but also Dr. Eggman, along with his robots, of course. So, you get the idea with the suggestions right there.
Fear not, my good villagers. If you all behave, I won't have to do anything nasty. All you need to do is tell me where the Temple of Gaia is.
We're not telling you anything!
You still got owned. I still love that part still.
So, you dare to defy me, do you? What? Sonic!
Yo, Eggman! Thanks for that little skydiving adventure the other day.
I should have known you'd still be alive, you stubborn little hedgehog.
What are you doing out here?
I see no reason to tell you. In any case, I'm busy. Farewell!
Hey, wait! That's playing dirty! Come back!
Just ignore him. Is everyone here all right?
So, in your forms of, here we are, in your forms of Missouri daytime, and as you can tell, as we expected, no, I don't want to talk to you, damn it. Anyway, we have to go ahead and get ourselves only 2 moon medals in this particular first, primary hub world right there. Those medals aren't that hard to find though, because as long as I'm able to know where they are, then I can definitely tell that I managed to able to compensate on things. So, I was off by 1 sun medal, by the way, to able to get myself my next level up by the forms of the sun medals requirements. Even I know, here we are to the secondary hub world of Missouri. So even I know, oh, what's this? It's just a record. By the forms of Missouri Night, by the forms of the level that we've already been into, by the forms of the last video. So even I know, pretty worth mentioning for this throughout. So what we meant to do here is the fact that, well, first off, another record by the forms of Missouri Day. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting in the end, folks, so I do apologize for that. So, actually, before we get into the second daytime stage, I'm actually going to be going after the last sun medal that we can get, so that way we can get ourselves the level 3 status of the forms of the sun medals requirements. So, everything else checks out there by the forms of unlocking more levels for daytime stages until on the future points. But in Missouri Day, it only requires level 1, requirements to able to actually get to this stage. So here we go with Missouri Daytime, Act 1 at least. It's been a while since we're actually going back into the daytime stage ever since Abatos, at least at the very beginning of the game. But then, naturally speaking of such though, is that we have to deal with 2 acts. So even though that first act is more accurately a tutorial level of anything else, so that you can get used to how the game mechanics looks like. So, anyways, I was actually quite excited to see how this stage turns out, because I'm presuming that when this game was first announced, by the forms of back in 2008, which is about 10 years ago, I believe this stage was actually first showcased on that. What? Why is my homing attack going really wonky all of a sudden? But, actually, I might as well not risk it though, so I'll have to, like, cope with others there, so, oh well. Too many death situations in the forms of the daytime stage, but I'm hoping until the next couple of stages later, I won't die as many times as I would like to be, besides trial and error moments is, like the forms of, well, sometimes, jumping in midair doesn't usually have ourselves a, it just managed to get ourselves a crap ton of momentum in midair, so even I know that, it's kind of like how it does in the forms of Super Mario Brothers, that's for sure. But in forms of jumping in midair and you don't have any momentum going. So anyways though, this stage in particular was actually the first ever stage I was familiar with when this game's first announced. And then they decided to actually showcase off this stage, but in forms of Missouri. So even though that's more accurately, that's what the actual stage itself is more likely based off from Africa, but even though I was really damn hyped to see how Sonic is bursting through speeds in the forms of this stage back in the day. But it wasn't until when the later announcements of the forms of Sonic Unleashed usually introduces ourselves the Werehog transformation, which I know some people have some mixed bags with this, but even though that's as far as I can see how this will turn out. So, it does have some multitude of pathways you can actually go through in this stage, but it forms if you can either go onto the background portion or just the foreground portion, which even then though, I really love the detail in the actual environments as you can see right there. It's so gorgeous to look at. Especially noticeable that this game is usually being developed, well, it's usually being made by Sega and Sonic Team obviously, but in forms of the Hedgehog engine, it just makes this entire game on this version of the game, both the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 versions of Sonic Unleashed, makes it a gorgeous looking game. Although I kind of wish it has a 60 frames per second, but even I know the PlayStation 3 version does have that. So, anyways, I believe we got ourselves a quick time event, so let's go ahead and press these 3 buttons. There we go. So naturally speaking, this level's not too hard though, until when we get to the future points of the game, that we're actually going to be able to actually hopefully trying to get ourselves some upgrades eventually. Oh, I missed that enemy right there to actually homing attack into things. But again, it's most likely though, it's because I was really used to with Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations these days. I keep saying this a lot because even then unlike in, how do I clip for that rail grinding right there? That's just plain rude. Although, to be fair though, unlike the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, that normally you can actually homing attack into rails now, But in this, that you just have to mainly try to able to land on grind rails, so even then that's all you're really trying to do here, and that was actually really, really cheap, tripping, obstacle right there. What is this, like, Super Smash Bros. Brawl of all things? Well, whatever, it's not a fighting game, it's just the action platformer game after all. So anyways though, we got ourselves our videotape right there, which actually represents some cutscenes that we can actually revisitedly watch. And after when you perform that particular quick time events correctly, then we got ourselves the gold ring at the very end. So I did that pretty decently enough, not the best run through, because there are plenty of times where my homing attack can sometimes feels a bit too weird. But anyways though, we got ourselves a B rank, so that's pretty decent enough. So anyways, we got ourselves just only 2 moon medals, and especially noticeable with just only 1 sun medal, and that's about it, because you know I've already established that in the forms of the last videos that you can't get those medals so easily, but in forms of the daytime stages, because you know, in a burst of speed after all that stuff. And of course we couldn't stop there without the next boss in the game, or in this case, the next boss in this version.
How'd you get here so quickly? No matter, your road ends here. Behold, my new power! Egg Beetle, go!
Alright, so here we go with the next boss in this game, but in forms of, well, the next boss in this version of the game, as opposed to how it does it on the Wii and PlayStation 2 version, that normally, the Wii version / PlayStation 2 version is more accurately the first boss in this game. But even then though, that this might be the second boss in the game actually, in this version of the game, in the 360 and the PlayStation 3 version. But anyway, this is Egg Beetle. This fight, it feels exactly like how it does it in the forms of Nintendo Wii / PlayStation 2 version, except the fact of the matter is, you're running way faster this time around, and plus you do have a little bit of a tight arena space as opposed to way more wider space, but in forms of the other versions of the game. But the entire premise of this fight is pretty much exactly the same as how it does it in the Wii / PlayStation 2 than the likes of the 360 / PlayStation 3. So basically, the only major differences between the these two variations of this particular boss is the fact that as you can tell, the graphics look superior after all. And secondly, it's the fact that he does different sorts of attacks, I think. And even I know that this boss might actually be a lot harder compared to how it does it on the Wii / PlayStation 2 version. Unless if you expected to get yourselves an S rank from. But basically all you have to do is basically just keep on attacking this glass stone to deal as many damage as possible. So even I know that's all you're really trying to do here. And of course, without any bosses alone, then we got ourselves medal collecting to do with here. But even I know, most like the daytime stages, that there may actually be a little bit more difficult to obtain the some of these medals in the forms of the daytime bosses, as far as I'm concerned, because you know you're constantly running for the entire time, and plus not to mention that, although conveniently enough though, is the fact that the entire arena itself is completely looped. So there might be still multiple chances if you want to able to get yourself some not only moon medals but also sun medals as well. But even then though, unless if you actually deal with the last few hit points on the Egg Beetle itself, or in this case for any other daytime bosses for that matter, normally you can potentially try to able to actually ignore these medals all in one go. So, and as you can tell right there, I keep on getting hit most of the time. It's only because of how the fact that I need to be very impatient when it comes to controlling the actual premise of this particular boss. But anyways, so apart from those, aside from that though, it's not too bad of a boss fight honestly. But there are plenty of times I keep on getting hit thanks to the actual Egg Beetle's claw stuff. But as long as you're able to actually keep an eye on your best timing jump on that particular segment, and that way you should able to actually just see the green lock-on cursor as opposed to red in the forms of the PlayStation 2 and Wii version, but hey, at least get the job done.
Same as ever. All bark and no bite.
So yeah, there we go. That concludes Egg Beetle in your forms of, well, you know, the Xbox 360 slash PlayStation 3 version. Yeah, it's a bit easy if you know what you're doing, but because of how the fact that I keep on getting hit most of the time thanks to Egg Beetle's, claw stuff, but after once in a while, after when you deal with any boss fights, you get yourselves, 2 experienced, shrines, which even I know, super handy though.
Ah,
Is that the Temple of Gaia?
let's check it out.
So, immediately after defeating, you know, the Egg Beetle, we actually come across into the first, Gaia Temple from the game.
Whoa, awesome.
What is this place?
Hey, Sonic, there's something weird here, right in the middle. Hey, what's this hole?
Wait! There could be some kind of...
Whoa! What? Hey! Huh? What's that? Wahoo! The emeralds come back to life!
This was the Temple of Gaia! That's gotta be why Eggman was so keen on taking the place over!
Whoa! Whoa! Here we go again!
Now, unlike the likes of the Wii slash PlayStation 2 version, it doesn't get a notification saying that the continent is fully restored or anything.
Sonic, good news! The planet! One of the broken pieces of the planet moved back into place!
All right! Nice job!
Take a look.
Sweet!
At this rate, you'll have the whole world back together in no time, Sonic.
Planet-sized jigsaw puzzle? Sounds like a great excuse to see the world.
So yeah, we're pretty much completely done with Missouri for now on, because even then though, I don't think there's any metal, grinding to find right there, so even then though, that pretty much does it for that continent, because as a result, yeah, we pretty much restored one of the pieces of the Earth back into place. Hey Sonic, let's go find the professor and tell him what happened. He'll be super happy to hear his plan to restore the planet worked. Which I appreciated with it. Oh, and that part that came back includes Alaska. Alright then. It might be worth a visit, you can check it out on the world map. Oh, one more thing, I almost forgot. For now on, you can change day and night, or night and day, when you're on a village. You can use a pause menu to advance time, give it a try. Sonic, looks like you kind of spaced out. Do you catch all that? I heard you. Okay, I'm heading back to the tornado. Gonna keep it up and running. So now, every now and then, much like how it does it on the Wii slash PlayStation 2 version, we can now simply change from day and night anytime we wanted to, but in forms of not only the actual, hub world, but also the secondary hub world in here and there too, along with the actual, planet globe. So this is the actual premise of changing from day to night, specifically on the Xbox 360 version, because as you can tell, that what the actual visual standpoint's for is the fact that Sonic will actually transform into either a werehog at night, and then transform back into a hedgehog in new forms of daytime, so that's all it really does. Now, there are some slight differences between the Xbox 360 version and the PlayStation 3 version slightly. Notice the forms of the different loading screens every time you transform into, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog to Sonic the Werehog. Now, I'll get to more details on that later, but for now, we can either go back into either Spagonia or this new country actually just managed to come across, thanks to Tails already mentioned about this, Alaska. Does that look very promising? But even then, let's go ahead and jump into it before we're able to get into Spagonia, because you can definitely tell why when we actually approach this particular area in the first place. So, as you can tell, Alaska is basically just a snowy environment right there. I'm pretty sure this is more accurately based off from Atlantica, or maybe something related to that, or in this case, I would classify for saying Iceland, or in this case, I don't know, pretty much any single snowy land countries, by forms of Iceland or something. I don't know exactly for sure. But anyways though, this particular hub world, much like how it does in Missouri, this place is rather small, so even then though we can actually able to find ourselves moon medals right there. So expecting to able to find one already. You can also mess around with this particular rail grinding right there, in case if you're curious to try that out. And there's actually the next moon medal right there, and I was one off by getting level 3 portion of moon medals. So hopefully we can actually get ourselves as many moon medals as we can. But before we do anything else, we actually approach into the secondary hub right there, and here we actually come across into the first upgrade in this particular version of the game. So by simply put that we need to collect rings and boost it all the way. No. Why do I... that was my fault. So yeah, as you can tell, yes, I see that. I need to get to that. That's the only thing I need to deal with that game. Jeez, the game tells me to think that you're such an idiot. It doesn't matter, you can able to die or anything like that. But anyways, because of a stomping shoes, while performing it, by simply we need to able to jump in midair and press the B button or the circle button if you ever play this on the PlayStation 3 version, until you're able to perform yourself the stomp ability, which even then though, that would be coming very handy if I want to able to anticipate for tougher levels in the forms of the daytime stages, as a matter of fact. Like, for instance, we are on to the next daytime stage, 2 daytime stages in a row in this video, which I'm really happy about, because even though, compared to how it does in the nighttime level, that only talks about 1 video, so even though that might be considered a little bit too long for my liking, but here we go. Alaska Daytime Act 1, this is known as Cool Edge. I actually really love this stage. I kinda wish this stage will make its appearance in the forms of Sonic Generations, but of course that game has already been in existence in the forms of 2011, so they only got 4 city levels, by the forms of Speed Highway, City Escape, Crisis City, and Rooftop Run. Which even then, I don't know why they actually bring up too many city levels to begin with. But anyways though, so yeah, for Alaska, especially noticeable in this particular version of the game, not much else to tell. It's basically just a snowy themed level, and as you expect it in any other snowy themed levels like this, especially noticeable if you ever played through let's just say the recent 3D Mario games these days, most notably by the forms of any snow levels in Super Mario 3D World, and even the latest 3D Mario game by the forms of the Snow Kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey. There's going to be some ice physics here and there, mainly due to how the fact that we actually come across into bobsled sections, which even then are kind of like how it does in the forms of Nintendo Wii / PlayStation 2 version. Basically, you can able to actually just ride onto the bobsled in the first place. Which even then though, this will make Sonic who actually become a bobsled player, but in forms of when it gets to Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games. Not only for the Vancouver 2010 installments, but it's also Sochi 2014 as well. So even though that's something's worth mentioning, but even though that was before that was before, or in this case, well, pretty much after this game came out in 2008. So that makes it pretty obvious with that point. So as you can tell, I think I've got enough moon medals to able to reach level 3 portions of the moon medal grinding. So even then, I'm pretty much going to be okay with this until whenever I get into the next nighttime level, but in forms of I'm pursuing the next destination we need to get into after this. is the forms of Spagonia. So even then, that makes it a little bit of a premise situation is about to be coming up. And I really like this part. It's completely autopilot here and there. We are getting blown out by the forms of the whale of the blowhole right there, which I found is really cool. So yeah, I really do love the entire the premise of this particular version, more so to how it does in the Wii/PlayStation 2 version. I don't know why it is for me. It's probably because of the actual contrast of how the fact that this game looks absolutely beautiful by the looks of all things. It's not so bad on the Wii though, don't get me wrong, because of how the fact that that particular console did came out in 2006 back in the day, and one of their visuals do look very, very cool, especially noticeable in Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, and even especially noticeable in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, but an almost shell-shaded look, and especially most noticeable in realistic setting, but in forms of Twilight Princess after all. But that's just how I think about it. But anyway. So at the very end of this particular stage, we have to come across into a bobsledge part for one last time, and hopefully trying to able to actually get into the dash pads or anything like that. So for the most part, it's not too bad. Even for the actual premise of this. So far I did not die so far, unlike how it does in new forms of the Apatos level, and especially noticeable with the forms of, well, obviously from the Missouri Day, as far as the most recent part of this particular video goes. And that was a really bad luck. I managed to get hit right there for some unexplainable reason. So, but anyways, we're pretty much almost towards the end, and let's just hoping we don't fall off. Gets this last dash pad, and oh, I missed the moon medal. Dang it. Oh well, at least I got enough into this. So even then, we got ourselves an A effort. And as you can tell right there, we've actually got ourselves our new collectible in this particular game's goes, not only for the records as I mentioned earlier, but also the Gaia keys. This will be mandatory if you want to proceed for this game. Be sure to able to actually get into one of those kinds of levels when you see those little Gaia keys like this. They manage to split into the half, just like how it does in new forms of any, you know the on the planet fragment keys in new forms of the Wii/PlayStation 2 version? It's kind of like that, except the fact that it feels like a shape like the actual Gaia keys, which even though that makes it a little bit more, tad bit more bigger than the likes of the Planet Fragment key, but in forms of Nintendo Wii/PlayStation 2 version. So, with that bit in mind, before we leave this this particular Alaska hub world, I'm actually going to be changing day to night because I get a feeling there might be some sun medals around here. So even though that, hopefully we can actually find, you know, just only one of those medals like this, because, you know, much like how it does it in Missouri, basically there are 2 medals to find here, so even though, and also the same applies to Apatos as well, except for Spagonia, because in Spagonia only has like 4 medals in each. So, there we go, we've got ourselves, all 2 of those, not only for the moon medals, but also the sun medals as well, so we're pretty much all set and done. And now let's go ahead and head back out. And I believe the next destination we're about to be heading to right about now is the forms of going back to Spagonia again. But this time, hopefully, we can able to do more things here and there. But first off, I'd like to point things out, I'm going to be going back into this particular town as the daytime version of Sonic, because I need to get the last moon medal on this particular hub world. Specifically, whenever you only access to, you know, the daytime portion of Sonic. And then that way, after all that, then we're pretty much going to be done with the medal collecting in the forms of the hub world in Spagonia itself. Exception being is the forms of the secondary hub world, which even then, we'll get to that in the next video, because for now, I believe there's going to be a moon medal onto that rail grinding right over there. And there we go, we're pretty much all set with the moon medals. And funnily enough though, what I found is kind of hilarious in this particular version of the game, you can actually trigger the cutscene if you manage to able to actually just transform back into Sonic the Werehog, and then after when this loading screen is done, then I believe the cutscene triggers. I found it really hilarious.
Found you, Sonic! Oh, Sonic, I've been looking for you forever.
Hey, let me go.
You're crazy if you think you can get away from Amy Rose and, who are you? Oh my gosh, I am so sorry! I just completely mistook you for someone else. That is so strange. I could have sworn it was him. Anyway, I'm really sorry. See you later.
Well, that was weird. How come that girl didn't know you were you, Sonic? I mean, I guess you are kinda, you know. And, these guys? Oh, I mean, don't worry. Hey, you only look really scary, Sonic. Inside, you're the same as ever. I guarantee it, okay? Sonic, cheer up. Chocolate. Want some chocolate?
To be honest, Chip, I'm actually going rather pass, because even though, as I mentioned to you before, I'd rather not get any weight. So anyways though, let's go ahead and end things off here, I'm afraid, folks. So join me next time when Let's Play Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. Is that we're going to be talking to Professor Pickle to do what's the task that we need to do next. To be more specifically, the nighttime station in this particular location. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.